I'm gonna hit the record. So it should be going now. Yes. And our topic today, instead of going through course content, we're really going to talk about the abstract assignment. Does that sound okay?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, great. So what I'll do is I'll just share the screen, and I'm sure that y'all have started and made progress already. But my hope is that this information will be helpful just as you proceed with it. So as you can see, you're looking for 3 scholarly peer-reviewed full-text journal articles. And I did send out an announcement, sorry, that's my dog, recently regarding the process of searching in the CCU library for journal articles, but I'm just going to demonstrate it on this video so that we're all clear on what that looks like. So I am really sorry about the dog. If I could make her stop barking, I would. So what I did is I just Googled, this is my easiest way. Can you still see my screen?
Nope.
No. Let me fix the share. All right, how about now?
Yep.
Okay, great. So you can see all I did is I just went to good old-fashioned Google and I Googled CCU library, clicked on the first link, and then I'm clicking articles. And for articles, I can look anything I want to, and I'm so sorry. Let me mute this and address my dog. This is the work from home experience, right? I apologize. So here we are in the journal articles. So I'm going to search borderline personality disorder. And we've read up on some different conditions already, and we'll continue to dive into that throughout the course. But that's just one that I've chosen for an example here. So for the assignment, if I can move this down. The assignment tells me that I'm trying to find 3 articles, that they must be peer-reviewed, and then I'm going to be writing brief summaries of the articles. We want these to be research studies. So there's a lot of different articles out there, even in the CCU library, that you'll find. Things like a meta-analysis, where there are a bunch of different studies that are examined. Things like literature reviews, where they're just looking at certain articles, or even a book review, where they're talking about the content of a book that's been published. All of that is really interesting, but it's not what we're looking for the assignment. So for this assignment, you'll know that you found an appropriate article if you see that there are participants. And the participants, along with the methods, the results, we'll want to know if the study is quantitative or qualitative. And as a review, that's just meaning quantitative, involving numbers and data, qualitative, involving more of a case study and interview, but it's still a research study because we still do have those methods in there, and a discussion section, results and conclusion, and perhaps addressing limitations of the study. That can also be really interesting. So those are the types of things we're looking for. A word that is not necessarily the most appropriate for it, but I'll use it anyway, is an experiment. Like, we're looking for something, if you have ever done a science fair when you were younger, something that was tested and tried. There was a hypothesis. We did the study with the people, and here's what we came up with, and here's why it matters and why you should care. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, not a summary or anything of that nature. So I typed borderline personality disorder, and I'm just signing in with my CCU username and password. Let's say that this is an area of interest for me as a particular mental health condition. So now here I am. This is called the Boolean Search. So borderline personality disorder, this is my first article or my first search that I'm using. So I could pull down the field and say that I want only articles that have this in the title. Or a different thing here, like the journal is about borderline personality disorder. Or if I were typing a person's name, I could click author. Right now I won't. I'm just going to leave it because it says that is optional. And this is the most important part, because this will weed things out for you, okay? Here on the left-hand side, and this is what I was talking about in the announcement, click full text. It'll take a minute, and click peer reviewed. Okay. And then the last thing to click is academic journals, because you'll see that this otherwise will come up for you with 1,223 reviews, 85 reports. Those are not things that I want to see. So I'm just going to click academic journals, and that will ensure that results that I'm getting are peer reviewed and meet the criteria for the assignment. Interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to be scrolling through each title that I find. And I'm just looking for something that kind of catches my eye that seems relevant to what I'm trying to research. Okay. Obviously, it's valuable to have recent research. This one's 2020. That's very recent. That's lovely. Dropout rates from psychotherapy trials for borderline personality disorder. Interesting. So this is a meta-analysis. It's an examination of a lot of different studies. So I'm going to go past that one and just kind of browse through, see which one might be most interesting. I like this one. Approach, and this is a 2020 as well, so that's nice and recent. Approach and avoidance behavior in female patients with borderline personality disorder. So this is examining behavior. This is examining avoidance. And this is interesting to me. So I'm seeing a link that says full text finder, and that lets me know that I may or may not be able to get the full text. So I'm hoping that I can by clicking full text finder. If the page does not display, open the page in a new window. And lucky for me, I was able to get it. Sometimes you will encounter a situation. Do you see the article?
Yep.
Great. Okay. Sometimes you'll encounter a situation where unfortunately you can't get it. So it's just kind of like gold mining. You're just looking for a good article that you can access, because sometimes things will update and things of that nature. So here's my article. Now, how do I know that this will qualify for what I'm looking for? We talked about the methods, the results, and the conclusion. And we need to know that this is for people themselves. So here they are, 38 patients. Those are the real humans, and 40 control participants. Yes. So then this is what we did in the study. These were the results. Interesting. The people with borderline personality disorder approached the happy stimuli less frequently. So this will give more information regarding the results of the study. And the conclusion would be that there is an altered approach here in their behavior, and this could affect social interactions and even impede social interactions. So that's just kind of my little abstract, my little summary here. And then I can go down into the introduction, and you'll see a really extensive literature review. Basically, the authors are spending this whole part of the paper trying to explain why this research is necessary and valuable. Down we go to participants. Okay, so roughly we can see the average age for these people was 27 years old. We could go through this whole article. By the way, I didn't plan to pick this article. I didn't choose one ahead of time because I really wanted you guys to see the organic process. Okay, like I can browse these for hours. There's so much. And I really wanted you to see me go through and say, does this one even fit? This one does, because we saw we have the participants and the methods and the results and the conclusion. But if it didn't, I would just have to go back to the drawing board. So back here, and all I'm doing is hitting back, and that's my same list. Boundaries between borderline personality disorder, suicide. Okay, so some other topics. Let's see if this one works. Okay. PDF. Typically, you saw last time I had to click the link to full text. That's just kind of an annoying other step that you might encounter, but typically you'll see this PDF full text on the left-hand side, and you'll be able to just get it right away. So this one is an example of that. So what year is this? This is 18, and published in 19. So again, that's nice and recent. And they're just comparing traits for suicidal vulnerability. Okay, so method. We recruited the adult patients. Okay, that's real people. So we know this is a research study. 92 inpatients who have attempted suicide. Okay, so that's what we know. There is a method, there are results, and there is a conclusion for the study. Yes, this one would be good, okay? The last comment I wanted to make, well, there's a couple actually. Let's say I want to narrow this down a little bit more and not just say BPD, but let's say I want to look into causes, for instance, and kind of narrow it. And then I just want to make sure on my left-hand side that all three of those things are still checked. Sometimes they'll go away. So just make sure you've got all three of them checked always when you're searching. Okay, experiences of family caregivers of patients, and those are the experiences of social stigma. So this will be the last example that I pull up. Oh, look, guys, this one is 2021. This just came out. We love that. It's always nice to find a really fresh article. So this is a qualitative study. You can see the comment right here. And as we just talked about, qualitative is going to be the case study, the interview, exploratory, not crunching the numbers and the stats, so like more of what you were seeing in the first and the second one. So I'm going to hit PDF full text. And I've got my abstract. Now, basically what I want to know, are there real humans? So this was performed in Iran. That's pretty cool. From 17 to 19. Okay. Participants were selected. Real people. Yes. 16 interviews. So they conducted 16 interviews. Very interesting. One of the themes that came out of this study was secrecy. This would be really cool to read. So you can see 10 participants were in the present study. Okay. Along down we go, more information regarding their demographics, okay? And some of the common meanings that came out of the interviews. So you can see the difference here, just as a side note, between qualitative and quantitative research. This is all words. We're not crunching averages, mean, median, and mode. We're not crunching for variability or standard deviations. We're really looking at the written content here. And that would be the qualitative study. I find most researchers prefer either one or the other, and there might be one or the other that you prefer to read or perhaps to conduct someday. I myself, I love qualitative research because I love the conversation, I love the interview, and I think getting past just the numbers, there can be a lot more depth of analysis there, but that's just me. And then you may also be familiar with the mixed methods study. That's when we're combining qualitative and quantitative research, and we have a little bit of both. So obviously those are more complicated to conduct. They can be more time consuming. There's a lot more to control for and to plan for and manage, but they're a lot of fun, and the information can be extremely helpful because you really do have that depth from both sides of the research approaches. So that's an example of my articles. I might not like them, and I can kind of browse around, like I said, narrow it down a bit. Let's say I want to do family. I bet you there's a lot on that, I will say. Again, click that academic journals down here. And that could be pretty cool to look into. However, I will not right now because I think you guys have the idea. But that's how we're looking for these articles. Okay, so we've got PDFs for most of them, but a couple of them we need to go through the full text finder. And that's just that extra step we talked about. I want to show you something pretty cool as well. Open the page in the new window. Okay, great. So we get that one too. So as we scroll, we can see all of it is there. So that's how we use that full text finder, and typically you'll be able to get the whole thing. You may be familiar with this, but this is a pretty nice tool. So let's say I'm going to use this one up top. I'm just clicking that one. Go over to the right-hand side here for this article and click Cite. This is just kind of a nifty tool that the CCU library gives us, okay? Scroll down to APA, and you'll find an APA format reference here. That's nice, huh? Because then you don't have to do everything by hand. It gives you a start. Now, here's what I will tell you. The computer is imperfect, right? So it's still important to know APA format because sometimes these will have errors in them. And what I mean is sometimes they'll capitalize things that they should not, or it's, you know, not updated fully to the 7th edition perhaps, and things like that. So you still got to know your stuff, right? But I personally think this is a really beautiful place to start because then you can just copy it. And that's really, it's not cheating. It's a resource provided to you here. Paste it in your document. And then of course you got to go through the formatting. So I'm cleaning that up. I'll put it in Times New Roman. This is like I would do on my reference page. I'll put it in 12. And then I'm going to go to paragraph, double spacing. I'm going to click don't add space between the paragraphs. And under special indentation, I'm going to click hanging. And lo and behold, there it is. And then the next thing I would do, because like I said, the computer is not edition OWL at Purdue. Computer is not perfect. So I would just go to this website, which I've shared with you guys before, the APA OWL at Purdue 7th edition. And I would be looking at the reference page. So formatting and style guide. Reference list, and this happens to be an article. That's what we're using right now. So for your, and these are electronic journals. Okay, so for your abstract, this is the format that you're using to reference. And so these will provide you with several different examples of the fonts and the formatting, just to make sure that what's given to you by the library website is perfectly correct. But that's a pretty cool tool with this little citation thing here. And then if you like your article, you can save it as a PDF, and that'll just allow you to access it easily. Okay. So now that we've talked through the library, back to the abstracts. Okay. And I want to look at the rubric for this too. So basically you've got 3 articles. We just talked through how to find them. Abstracts, the bottom line is just a little summary for you, okay? So they are 150 to 250 words long. An easy way to do this that you might have used is just word count, easywordcount.com. So then as you write your abstract, you can just paste it into here and it'll tell you exactly how many words you have, just so that you're staying roughly within those boundaries. You don't want to be lower than the 150, but if you go a little over 250, it's okay. This is just the basic guideline, okay? But yeah, don't be under that because then that'll just be really brief at that point. So like we talked about, each of these articles you'll be summarizing. And this is going to be the sections: intro, methods, results, and discussion. Now, as we went through those example articles, did you notice that they all have these parts? So that's another way to know that you're selecting an appropriate research study, is because it does have these 4 parts, and you're basically going to be summarizing them. So if somebody said, hey, what was the article about? You don't have to read the entire article, by the way. Some of these are like 30, 40 pages long, okay? So just review it. If you're interested and you're into it, by all means, read the whole thing. But it's valuable to be able to go through and just gather the main ideas, okay? And that conclusion section is really important. The results, the main takeaways, as well as the methods, so that you can understand what they were even doing. But once you get that done, let's say that a family member or friend approached you or me and said, hey, what was your article about? You want to be able to just do a little blurb of here's what it is, but I'm not going to bore you for 45 minutes. So that's what the abstract is. Basically a summary of the article content. Okay, so you won't need to take direct quotes from your articles in this because your abstract is so short that you're really just putting this into your own words. You don't need to support it with direct quotation. It's so brief. Okay, so you're just summarizing. I will click on the rubric here. So you've got 3, you can see scholarly, peer-reviewed, full text. Those were those little boxes we were clicking on the left-hand side. And then this is just the summary, a sentence or 2 for each of these sections, just making sure that you're hitting that word count. Intro, methods, result, and discussion. And then obviously the conventions, the APA format, and the language. Basically what that means is that we have proper spelling and grammar. We're not running into run-on sentences or any issues with punctuation. And then the APA format, I was just showing you that OWL at Purdue website, but the CCU library will give you that little reference, which gets you a good jump start there as well. So the abstract should be on a separate, it says no direct quotes right here. So that's what I was mentioning. You will need a cover page, okay? So you know those APA format title pages and a reference page, as we were just talking about the reference page. The title page, if you click on general format, here's an example. So this is all the information, and I just clicked general format right over here on the left. This is all the information on the title page with the bolding and all that jazz, okay? If you did APA format previously, you might recall the running head, which used to be at the top in 6th edition, and it is now gone from us in student papers, okay? So student APA title page, for your purposes, this is what you'll use, the bolding, the spaces, and then each of these pieces of information included. Okay, you can see in professional papers, we still have, so don't worry about the professional papers and the author's note. That's not your problem right now. It's just student papers. Okay, so it looks like this. So title page, 3 little summaries. You can use the online word count or a word count in Microsoft Word or whatever you're using to compose your paper. And then you'll have a reference page with APA format references for all 3 of your selected articles. Okay. Any questions about this assignment or the CCU library?
Should the articles be kind of related, like our 3 abstracts we're writing, or not related?
Good question. Yep. So it's 3 articles in the field of psychology on the topic of your choice. So it's best to keep them close. Like I was searching, if you want to do back to this search and do maybe some variety in it. So like I did family, where did it go? I could do borderline personality disorder and genetics. That's sort of related to family. So you can, oh, interesting. Yeah, these would be really cool to read. So you can get some differences in there, but you'll want to keep it basically in the same focus area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then real quick with the different like categories, like the methods and all that, you just want us to summarize like the numbers and like the conclusion to all that? Like that's basically just it?
Yes, good
Okay.
question. Yeah, go through the studies, find something you're into, because otherwise this is not going to be fun. So what have you learned about so far in the class or read about that you're like, yes, that I care about, A, because it just fascinates me, or B, because it's personally connected to my life and my experience, something of that nature, okay? Because that'll just make the experience more enjoyable in general as you write these. But you'll definitely want to kind of hone in on one main idea, and it will make it easier for you as well. And you are summarizing what you could do as well. This feels far away because we're only about halfway through the course, but the week 15 final paper, you can see that by the end of week 9, you'll have to have chosen a topic for this paper. So if you want to go down, because you have access to all the course content all the time, if you want to go to week 15, look into the final paper, which is a research paper on a topic of your choice from the course. Check out the rubric and what it's going to be looking for. It wouldn't hurt. This is kind of a pro tip. It would not hurt to, if you have a topic in mind, do your abstract on that topic. Why? Because then when you move into this paper, you've already got 3 articles hot and ready, and you don't have to look at them and find them again. You have them there present for you. So not to point too much to the future, but you know we're going to be here before we know it with this final paper. So if you do have an area of interest in mind, you can gear one to this. All right, so week 9, which is next week, You can see we've got a quiz. We can talk more about that. I will post an announcement about it sometime next week, and then I'll hold office hours next week if anyone wants to break down any of the topics. But you can see in addition to the quiz submission for week 9, you are going to submit a final paper topic. So I'm glad that we talked about that because aligning this with the abstracts can be kind of fun. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions? You guys feel pretty good?
Yeah, yep.
Awesome. Did you start these already? If not, it's okay.
I started looking at articles and I started one, but I haven't really gotten too deep into it.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I started looking at topics, kind of narrowing it down, and then I'm on my first one as well. Yeah.
Great. Do you guys have a particular area in the course so far that you're like, yes, I'm so into it. This is my thing. Kind of, sort of.
Sorta, not a whole lot yet, but
Yeah. If you can find one of those, it makes research a lot more fun. Emily, what were you gonna?
Yeah, kind of just playing around with stuff. There's a couple ones like CBT, I think, like that. That's a lot. And then like all the cognitive like dreams and like sleep. That's really cool too. So
Yes, good choices. Okay, well, I apologize for my dog early on, but she is now quieted down. So those are just the awkward moments of the virtual situation. So thank you for bearing with me. And with that, we'll close out unless anybody has any more questions or comments. Okay, it's great to see you both. Have a really nice weekend and keep in touch.
thank you. You as well.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.